Hi again, this is Tom, and actually at a hotel in South Carolina with my son. We're at a conference, and it's just been a blessing just to see God's faithfulness over the years. Um, just develop a relationship with my son, knowing from where we came and the promise God gave me. Having to hold on to that promise uh, while things didn't look like a relationship was going to develop. But having a friend relationship and a spiritual relationship and it's just been amazing. Really grateful. And so part of that spiritual warfare, and that's what I've been talking about. And I've come to the last piece of defensive armor, the helmet of salvation. Defense is always a response to an offensive strategy that the enemy or your opponent has. Regardless of the venue, you establish your defense around your opponent's various offensive strategies. In football, for example, the opposing quarterback might be a pocket passer or a scrambler, and how you prepare will be different depending on what type of quarterback your opponent has. And warfare is no different. The Humvee undercarriage protection was developed because of landmines, and they came up with decoy flares because of heat-seeking missiles. If you know this, then spiritual warfare comes into perspective. The devil has specific tactics, tried and true, and God has designed each piece of armor with these in mind. The devil's tactics come in different shapes and sizes, but they just fall into a few categories. And mind you, each piece has been proven in the heat of the battle by the Lord himself when he walked among us. And that's why Paul said to take up the whole armor of God. And we need the whole armor. Satan's attack on the first son and daughter of God was the exact same attack he launched on the Son of God. And they're the same for you. So we need to know that so we know how to defend ourselves. He told Jesus, if you're the Son of God, if, what do you think the devil's tactic was here? What was he insinuating? That Jesus was not who he knew himself to be. It was not who the Father had just told him either. You're my son, my beloved son, in whom I delight. Jesus didn't take the bait. He had on the breastplate of righteousness, which told him who he was and is the beloved of God. So Jesus needed to add nothing to himself. Jesus didn't have to prove anything. So regardless the present physical desert reality, the devil had nothing to offer him. The same with Adam and Eve. The serpent told them that they could be like God. But Adam and Eve were made in his image and in his likeness. The lie and the temptation was that Adam and Eve were not really right, complete, or whole. They needed to do something to get something in order to be something. And isn't that the human condition? And this is certainly the lie the devil tells you and everyone in the world every day, that you are less, that you need to do something to get something in order to be something. And the devil's attempting you to act out of your lack instead of your fullness. And so God has provided you the breastplate of righteousness. Yes, you were made with need. Yes, we're we're being sanctified, as it were. But in Christ, you're complete. You're perfect. You're righteous right now, all the while you're being perfected. The church has bought into the devil's lie that you are a sinner saved by grace. Right. Grace for sure, and once a sinner, but God has changed your constitution. You are now a son and daughter of God. The devil is the sinner. God is not. You no longer have the devil's DNA, but God's DNA. And you are now being made for sure more sonly and more saintly by grace as we cooperate, but your identity is Jesus. This is the breastplate of righteousness, and this is what it's to defend against. And the devil not only tells you that you're less, but he also tells you that there's no destiny in the stars for you. If he succeeds in this and you agree with him, beloved, you'll never fulfill the dream God envisioned for you when you came to be. Because of this, many Christians don't venture out of the boat. So the cladding of your feet, the gospel of peace, is designed to keep you walking toward your destiny, and you are to wrap this thing around your feet, this gospel of peace. The gospel of peace is certainly for others, but it's first for you. You are to speak peace to your soul when the waves swell. You're to declare Jesus' lordship to yourself and to your circumstances and to the devil, those demonic entities who might be messing with your business. Nothing brings peace like the Lion of Judah showing up. And when you declare Jesus' lordship, the hidden one appears. What's real in the invisible becomes real in your life. And when you take steps out of your comfort zone, and that's what walking out your destiny is going to require, you're going to be attacked with anxiety and fear, thoughts of failure and exposure. Therefore, God has provided for you cladding for your feet, which is the good news that you have peace. In this world, you might have tribulation, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world, and I've given you my peace. And as you protect your heart from the devil's lies, and you're taking steps of faith, there's another trick the devil has up his sleeve, and that's fiery darts. These darts are designed to get you to take an offense or get disappointed. Have you ever taken an offense? Has anyone ever dissed you or treated you unseemly? That little dart might still be smoldering in you. Well, this is the devil's tactic. Have you ever been hit with disappointment? Both disappointment and taking offense have the same root. This ain't right. This shouldn't happen. It sure shouldn't happen to me. This attack is designed to get you off the path of faith and get you nursing your own wounds. And so God's given you a shield that's as big as a door. This word for shield in Greek is door. God's given you a big honking shield that you're just to stand behind. That's it. You're just to stand behind this door. He's not talking about this little shield that you must move around in your arm and be aware. And we need to be aware, but the shield does the work. The shield does the work. And I mentioned last time that the shield is the Lord who you have put before you every day. That's what David did. He said that he put the Lord before him, whether he was tending sheep or bringing down a lion, taking down a lion. And David was the worshiping warrior, and I think that's the key. And I can think of nothing else which will keep you from taking offense or from getting disappointed as worshiping the one who is before you and giving thanks to the one who has allowed all these little things to happen, because he definitely is using all things for our good. So now it's time to think about the helmet of salvation. Why do you think you need a helmet? Well, the helmet protects your thinking and how you interpret life. You interpret life every day. Jesus said, according to your interpretation, be it unto you. So let's say you lose your means of support, you lost your job, and it looks like your life is getting smaller and smaller. How do you interpret that? Or the heavens just open up and blessings overflow. How do you interpret that? Do you think the devil is trying to tell you something about life when life happens? If you don't interpret events through the light of God, and you accept the devil's lies, what do you think you're going to be? You're going to be just messed up in your thinking. And Paul said, what shall we say to these things? Paul had a lot of things that happened to him that was trying to tell him and define him. But how did he interpret famine and persecution and troubles and all hell breaking loose? He answered these situations and demons alike with his helmet of salvation. If God is for me, what can be against me? He said, who or what can condemn me? All of life is a call and response. Each day, each circumstance houses his voice calling you. And how you respond to the call will determine your future, your immediate future for sure. And if you continue to not respond to God in the call of the circumstances, possibly your entire future. So God has provided you the helmet of salvation, which is the upside down logic of God to have you think straight. So let me give you a preview of my next post where I'm going to go into this further. It's called the helmet of salvation. Salvation. So what the helmet's made up of salvation. So what is salvation? And it's not just going to heaven. Salvation is made up of a who, a what, and a how. Jesus is the who. He is the one you call on when you are in those situations that don't seem to be God, and in the situations that seem to be God. Whoever calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved. So Jesus is the one we call on. He's the one that's going to save us. In our momentary and in our eternity, and He's also the what. Jesus is the what of your salvation. He is who you're going to look like when it's all said and done. And so we're called to glimpse Him. We're called to behold Him because we're transformed into that same image. So as David and Joseph and Moses and all the Old Testament saints were a type of Christ, Jesus is a type of you. Let that sink in. Jesus became as you are so that you become as He is. John said, as He is, so are you in this world. And I will expand that next time. And finally, part of the logic that keeps you interpreting life correctly is understanding the how, the process. You need to know the process so you can cooperate. And the cross is the how. The cross is God's operating principle. Being made small makes great. Losing is getting. Dying is living. Paul spent 18 months in Corinth proclaiming nothing more, nothing less than Christ and Him crucified. Christ, the who and the what, and the cross, the how of salvation. So you need to know this to navigate life, and we'll take a little more time next time to expand on this. So until next time.